All right, buckle up because we're going deep on powerful AI.
Not the doom and gloom kind, though.
Nope, today is all about the sunny side of AI, like the really good stuff that makes you think the future is awesome kind of stuff.
Think huge leaps in things like health,
Wealth.
even how we govern ourselves.
And our guide for this optimistic adventure, Dario Amodei, he's the CEO of Anthropic.
We're big on AI safety, by the way.
And he's laid out this surprisingly hopeful vision of the future, all in his essay, Machines of Loving Grace.
It really is a fascinating read.
Yeah, and you know I'm all about a good dose of optimism, but this isn't just wishful thinking, right? Amodei's in the trenches of AI development.
Absolutely.
So when he says powerful AI could be like humanity's ultimate upgrade, I'm definitely listening.
And he gets really specific, too, about what he means by powerful AI.
Yay.
Like, forget those vague sci-fi robots.
Right.
He's talking about a very different picture, something much more concrete and, I think, more exciting.
Okay, so walk me through it. What does Amodei's vision of powerful AI actually look like?
So imagine intelligence, but like Nobel Prize level,
Okay.
but across the board. We're talking about AI that can crunch crazy numbers, no problem, but then also grasp, like really complex concepts.
Right.
Write code.
Compose a symphony, maybe?
Maybe. The point is, these aren't just souped-up calculators, right?
Right.
This is next-level intelligence, multi-talented.
So they're incredibly smart, that's clear. But intelligence on its own, it can only do so much. How would these AIs actually do things in the real world?
Well, that's the thing. Amadei sees these AIs having access to the same tools we use, the internet, obviously.
Sure.
The ability to understand and use language, even to remotely control physical systems.
So it's like, what, a team of geniuses working at warp speed?
Exactly. But they're not stuck in some lab, right?
Right.
They can reach out and actually interact with the world,
Run experiments, design new things,
collaborate with each other.
maybe even collaborate with us.
He calls it a country of geniuses in a data center.
Wow, okay. That is both exhilarating and slightly terrifying.
Right.
But okay, I have to ask, even with all that brain power, wouldn't they still be limited by, I don't know, just the speed of the real world? Like, even a genius can't make a plant grow faster just by thinking about it, can they?
You've hit on a really important point. It's something Amote talks about, this idea of marginal returns to intelligence, which is basically how much more can you actually achieve with each added IQ point?
Why?
Even with, like, superintelligence, there are bottlenecks.
Sure.
The speed of biological processes, just as you said.
Or just like waiting for the results of an experiment, time marches on, even for AI.
Exactly. Amadei identifies a bunch of other factors that could limit AI's impact, too. Like, data availability is a big one.
Because AI needs that data to learn.
Absolutely. And it's got to be good quality data. Garbage in, garbage out, as they said.
With a super smart AI doing the processing.
Exactly. Then you've got the inherent complexity of some problems. Certain things, like, I don't know, predicting the weather with perfect accuracy, might just be impossible, even for AI.
It's chaos.
Right. And we can't forget the human element.
Yeah, all the rules and regulations and, well, just human fear, probably, holding things back.
He calls them constraints from humans. And it's a good point, because even in a future where AI is super powerful,
Yeah.
we're still the ones calling the shots.
Okay, so even with those potential limits, Amadei still believes powerful AI could totally transform the world. He even makes a pretty bold prediction about this whole thing.
The compressed 21st century.
Yeah, essentially that we'll be able to achieve, what, 50 to 100 years worth of progress in the next decade.
Especially in fields like biology and medicine.
Wow! Talk about accelerating the future. That is seriously compressed. But how does he see this playing out? Where does this massive leap forward actually begin?
Amadei points to AI's ability to basically supercharge the entire research process. Imagine being able to run thousands of experiments all at the same time, analyze data with unbelievable speed and accuracy, identify those really promising avenues of research that we might just totally miss.
It's like putting the scientific method on fast forward.
It really is. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like upgrading from a horse and buggy to a spaceship, but for scientific discovery.
Okay, that's a visual. A
Yeah.
spaceship for science.
Yeah.
But let's get specific. What kind of breakthroughs does Amadei actually see happening in this compressed timeline? Like, I'm talking tangible changes.
Right.
Things that would make a real difference in people's lives.
You're talking about things that are like really affecting people right now. Like, he believes AI could help us come up with ways to prevent and treat almost every infectious disease.
Okay.
Malaria,
Yeah.
HIV, even just like the common cold, gone.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Eradicated in our lifetime. That would be huge. But what about other health problems, like chronic illnesses or conditions we basically consider incurable right now?
Amode thinks AI could completely change the game there, too. He predicts we'll see some huge leaps forward in how we deal with things like cancer,
Right.
heart disease, Alzheimer's, all those conditions that cause so much suffering.
Yeah. It almost feels like he's describing a future where we've, like, kind of hacked the aging process, at least to some degree. But there's one area Emode thinks AI is going to revolutionize that's even closer to home.
Yeah,
Literally. Our brains.
that's right. He actually argues that improving and understanding the human mind could be AI's biggest impact, maybe even more so than what it could do for healthcare.
Okay, now that's interesting because we're already talking about getting rid of diseases, living longer. What could be more impactful than that?
See, the way Amadeus sees it, mental health is like fundamentally connected to our well-being.
Okay.
He's saying even if we cured all these physical problems, we could still be held back,
Yeah.
suffering mentally and emotionally.
So it's not just about treating mental illness then, but also enhancing our minds, our emotional responses, maybe even like our ability to be happy or find fulfillment.
Exactly. And he talks about how AI could revolutionize how we see the brain and how it functions in a few different ways.
Okay.
Like imagine AI helping us finally understand consciousness
Right.
or creativity.
Yeah.
Even those like peak experiences that make life feel truly meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be incredible.
Yeah. It's like we could finally open up that black box of the mind. But how would AI actually do that? We're struggling to understand the brain even with our current technology and techniques.
Amode thinks AI could really drive breakthroughs in a few key areas. Like, first of all, he points to its ability to accelerate things like drug discovery, genetic research,
Okay.
which could lead to cures for things like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia.
So it's like what we were talking about with physical health, but with the brain instead of the body.
Yes, but it goes way beyond that even. Like, Amode talks about AI letting us develop tools for, and this is his phrasing, fine-grained neural measurement and intervention.
Okay.
We're talking about observing brain activity, maybe even modifying it, and with incredible precision.
Hold on. Modifying brain activity, that sounds kind of intense. Are we talking about like brain implants or something?
Not necessarily, no. Amade is talking about non-invasive techniques
Right.
that could stimulate or suppress specific neural pathways. Like, we could fine-tune brain activity, but with a level of control that's unimaginable right now.
Okay, I'm getting a bit of a Brave New World vibe here.
Right.
But let's just say, hypothetically, all of this is possible. How do we even start to make sure it's used ethically, responsibly? Because the potential for misuse here seems, well, enormous.
It's a huge question, and Amode really gets into it in the essay.
Hmm.
He's definitely aware of how AI could be used in ways that are harmful or even dangerous.
So it's not just about, scientific advancement. It's about morals, ethics.
Right.
We can't just race into the future without thinking about what could go wrong.
Exactly. Amade is a big advocate for AI safety ethics, and he thinks that's something that needs to be built into development right from day one.
Yeah.
But even with the risks, it's hard to ignore how mind-blowing the possibilities are.
Yeah. It really is a lot to take in. A future where we could cure diseases, enhance our minds, maybe even crack the code of consciousness. But in all this talk about AI revolutionizing healthcare and neuroscience, there's a question that keeps popping up for me. What about the rest of the world? Like, can AI really solve all those really deep-seated issues?
Right.
Poverty, inequality, war, all of that.
It's a big question. And Amade doesn't pretend it's simple.
Yeah.
He admits that AI's impact on those bigger societal issues, it's not as clear-cut as, say, its ability to speed up scientific discoveries.
So no magic wand then?
Right. He's optimistic but cautious, realistic about how complicated these problems are.
Okay.
But he does think that AI can be a powerful force for positive change.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of ifs and buts here.
Sure.
Give me something concrete. How does Amode see AI actually being used to make the world a better, fairer place?
Well, he starts by saying how important it is that everyone has equal access to AI and its benefits. He's saying we need to make sure it doesn't just make existing inequalities worse. It needs to level the playing field.
So, no AI, just for the rich and powerful. Makes sense. But how do we actually make that happen? It seems like a huge task, especially with how much disparity there already is.
Well, that's where Amodei thinks AI itself can be part of the solution. He talks about things like education, where you could have these personalized AI tutors
Right.
helping to bridge the gap between students from different backgrounds.
Uh-huh.
Or in healthcare, where it could bring quality care to communities that haven't had access before, regardless of income or where they live.
So using AI to make sure everyone gets the essentials. I like it. But what about those bigger systemic problems?
Right.
Global poverty, conflict resolution, that kind of thing? Can AI really have an impact there?
Amodei thinks so. He talks about how AI-powered economic planning could maybe help developing countries grow sustainably, potentially lift millions out of poverty.
AI economists, that's a new one.
He also sees it playing a role in peace building, resolving conflicts.
Yep.
Imagine AI systems analyzing tons of data to identify where conflicts might break out, predicting when things might escalate, maybe even proposing solutions based on what's worked historically.
So instead of just predicting conflict, maybe even helping us prevent it.
Yeah.
That's incredibly ambitious. But, I mean, if AI could actually help us build a more peaceful world, that would be a game changer.
It really would. And it kind of gets to something Amodei brings up a lot. Like, he really believes AI has the potential to help us with some of the biggest problems we face.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the technology itself. It's how we decide to use it.
So it's not a silver bullet, it's more like a tool that can, amplify our own efforts to build a better future.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of leads to the big question, right? What happens to us, to humanity, in a world that's like increasingly shaped by AI?
Right, it's the question everyone asks, isn't it?
Totally.
If machines are doing more of the thinking, the work, what's left for us to do? Will we even be necessary?
It's a valid question. Amodei takes it seriously, you can tell.
Yeah.
But he doesn't see a future where humans are just replaced by machines. He actually talks about humans and AI working together,
Okay.
each playing to their strengths to create something better than we could ever achieve alone.
A partnership, not a takeover. I like it. But, I mean, what does that actually look like in practice? How do we find meaning, purpose in a world where AI can potentially, outperform us at almost everything?
Well, Amodei thinks we have to start by rethinking our relationship with work.
Okay.
Right now, our work, our jobs, they define us, right? Our economic output, it's everything.
Yeah.
But when AI can automate most of that, we might need to find meaning and purpose somewhere else.
So less of a work-centric life and something more focused on, I don't know, personal growth, relationships, creativity, those things that are harder to quantify.
That's it. Those uniquely human things. Amodei thinks AI could free us to pursue those things, to
Yeah.
really live more fulfilling lives.
But what about people who really find their purpose in their work? What happens to their sense of identity, of fulfillment, when AI is doing so much of it?
Yeah, it's complicated. Amodei admits there are no easy answers. He even suggests that, like, our whole economic system might have to change. Maybe we need to look into things like universal basic income, just to ensure everyone benefits from all the extra productivity that AI could bring.
So it's like we're on the cusp of a whole new social contract where the old way of work equals income just doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah,
That's a lot to wrap our heads around.
it really is. And that's just one example. There are going to be so many changes as AI becomes a bigger part of our lives.
So a lot of uncertainty, but also huge potential for positive change. As we kind of feel our way through this new landscape, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the future isn't set in stone. We have a voice in how this technology is developed, how it's used,
We do.
by talking about it, asking
Yeah.
the tough questions, making sure AI is aligned with what we value.
Yeah.
We can help create a future where AI empowers humanity, not, the opposite.
A call to action for all of us to stay informed, to stay engaged, and make sure this powerful technology is used for good. That's a great note to end on. So we've gone deep on Dario Amodei's vision of the future, a future powered by AI. Is it optimistic? Absolutely. But I don't know about you, but I'm feeling cautiously hopeful. There are definitely challenges, but the potential for progress here, it's huge. It's up to all of us to make it a future worth fighting for.